about a couple schedules here that I thought were pretty notable. Number one, the New York Giants, who are unsure of who's going to be their week one starter. Their opening part of the season, they start at Commanders, at Cowboys, Chiefs at home, Chargers at home, then at the Saints, then they got the Eagles at home, and the Broncos on the road, and then the Eagles again. That is a brutal schedule. Their only easy game is at the Saints, and that is not an easy game if you're the New York Giants. The New York Giants have a chance. Commanders, Cowboys, Eagles twice, Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos. That's a team who got burned. And I know they had the hardest. It's incredible how these schedules sometimes work out for a team that was as bad as the New York Giants. They had the highest strength of schedule in terms of difficulty because of the team's actual, records? That is a brutal. They might start 1-7 there.
It's important for them to get out to a hot start, too, especially with probably the expectations that John Mara, the owner there, has. I mean, this is a coaching staff that is returning that's under the hot seat. This is a GM in Joe Sheen who needs to prove that he made the right picks in the NFL draft. So, yeah, I agree. Bad role there for the New York Giants, and especially with a team that's kind of in win-now mode and in I-need-result mode. Kyle, if they start 1-7, you start 1-7, here's the issue. If you start 1-7, it's hard to recover. Even when you get to the quote-unquote easier teams, the NFL is such a hard league to win in, and if you're going to lose the locker room at 1-7. That's my 2 cents.
It's very bizarre because if there was one team that needed a bit of a break, it's the Giants. And the Giants never beat the Cowboys. They started the Commanders. The Commanders are going to be desperate post-NFC Championship appearance. They never beat the Cowboys. They got the Chiefs early on. Nobody beats the Chiefs early on in the season. They got the Chargers, who are a difficult team that's going to be a tricky game. The Eagles twice, and the Broncos. Their only easy game is at New Orleans.
At Denver.
That is between the start of the season and November. And that first November game, home against the Niners. And then they play all the NFC North in the Lions, Packers, Bears in a row. That is laughably hard. And like Mike said, for a team that needs at least a breath of life, out of that, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 games, 3-10 is not going to cut it.
No.
If they're going to play 13 games, they need to win 6. Maybe not 6, but they need to win 5 at the very least. 5-8, you could survive.
How about that, though? At Washington and at 2 divisional opponents. And that's the reason the schedule's so doggone hard, is because Washington, division, good team. Dallas, I have expectations for Dallas. I think that's a 10-win team next year. Good team. Philly, defending Super Bowl champ. And then the ones you have in the mix, the Kansas City Chiefs, who will probably make the AFC Championship for the umpteenth time in a row. The Los Angeles Chargers, great regular season team. Harbaugh is certainly going to try to get Herbert into playoff form. And then at Denver. At Denver is one of the hardest games in the NFL, Kyle. With the altitude, that place, it's tough to play in Denver at 4:05 on CBS, man. You're right. It's the Saints. Doggone it. And that's the Dome isn't a tough place to go and play either. Or rather, it's not an easy place to go play.
And that's surrounding the Eagles twice.
God, man.
My God.
That is brutal.
If there's a team that got screwed, top of the list for me is the New York Giants.
And it's because you have all of those divisional games at the beginning. That's the only reason. That's one of the toughest divisions in football. You look at the divisions. The NFC East, probably the hardest. The AFC North, probably followed by the AFC West. It's a tough spot.
In their last 9 games, only 2 of them are divisional. Only 2 of them. And that's the Commanders and the Cowboys. The rest of them, for the Giants, all their divisional must-win, gotta-split games, they got 4 of them in the first 8 weeks. Mm-hmm. It's a tricky spot. I don't know I don't know what the expectation is for the Giants at this point. I knew their schedule was hard. We knew that their opponents would be very tricky, but I don't know what the expectation is now looking at that. Because can you blame them if they go out and lose to the Chiefs, Cowboys, and Commanders, 2 of which on the road? You can't blame them.
No.
So can you blame the coach almost? If you're Mara, can you, what? We're going to fire Dable because they lost to the Chiefs? A lot of coaches are going to be fired if that's the standard. That's a very tricky spot now because it almost puts Mara in a tough position because he's going to have to make a decision on a team that has had the hardest schedule in the NFL to that point. with a young quarterback sort of baking in the oven behind Russell Wilson.
And you look at the teams that finish in last place at some of these divisions. I mean, New England's going to be a better football team. Chicago is going to be a better football team. San Francisco is a team I picked to win the Super Bowl last year, Colin. These aren't walk-in-the-park teams that finish in last place in their respectable divisions either that the Giants are going to have to play. So not only is their division tough, the games that they're supposed to get a break on according to last year, they're not going to get a break on. These are tough games. Listen, at Chicago, I think Ben Johnson's going to do a good job. It's a tough game. At New England, it's a tough game.
Very tough. I would be annoyed if I was a Giants fan. I would be a little annoyed because now that expectation shifts. The expectation, Russell Wilson, maybe he could squeak out 7 wins. They have a very underrated defense, in my opinion. They have probably the best defensive line in the league that's not named Philadelphia. They got 4 quarterbacks on the roster. They got a great second-year receiver. They got some talent. They got Cam Scatterboo in there. They have Andrew Thomas will be back at left tackle. He's one of the best left tackles in football. But with that schedule, I don't know who I'd expect to win games like that. I don't know who I'd expect to go 500 there. There's not many teams. So it puts the Giants now in a tricky spot because what is your gauge? If they start 1-5, but 4 of those 5 losses are within 1 possession, is that a positive? I mean, I'd like to think it is, but you're going to have to think really contextually about what is success and what isn't.
Dude. At Washington, at Dallas, home versus Kansas City.
And then the Chargers right after, who Chargers are a good team. And then they got, we got our bye week. We got to go to a road game in New Orleans.
But those, I'm laughing solely at the first 3. You're on the road, 2 divisional games. One team just won the NFC Championship. The other team, and I got to look at Dallas' schedule, Kyle. I'm assuming that's their home opener. Who does Dallas have?
They're on the road to Eagles first game.
Yeah, it's a home opener. That's a home opener in Jerry World with a team with lofty expectations that hopefully is going to be healthy. That's a tough spot. And then you finally have a home game. Oh, God. We finally get back to New York. Incoming one of the greatest quarterbacks in all time in Patrick Mahomes. That's brutal. That is brutal. Man.
You got to feel for Giants.
I do. But at the same time, wow. This is a head coach, and Brian Dable. You're gonna prove it this year, no matter what, mate. I mean, if you go 8 wins, 9 wins with this schedule, he's coming back. Bro.
Yeah, please.
He's gonna come back.
I'll invite you back myself.
Yeah, he's coming back with this. So it's set up to go horribly wrong or really good because I think. The owner isn't, to your point, isn't going to accept the 3-4 win season. He's gone. But if you win 7 to 9 games with that schedule and you see some improvement week in and week out, yeah. And no wonder they were drafted defensive line. They're going to need to sack the quarterback, Colin, 15 times a game. Obviously, that's an unreal expectation. Right. But you understand the point.
And they don't have their bye till later in the season, so this is all stack on stack on stack. And they have a Thursday night game in there. That first game against the Eagles is a Thursday night game.
But you're going to have to get after the quarterback this year. Absolutely. This makes me like what the Giants did, and obviously they didn't know the schedule was going to shake out this way, Colin. But if they had an idea of the teams they were going to have to play this year, it gives me more respect for the Giants draft. I got to say, it does.
At a certain point, maybe you got to think, all right, we're not breaking any records this year, but I want to see steps forward. Yeah. Maybe that's our gauge for success.
And no wonder they got 2 veteran quarterbacks. You want a rookie quarterback going at Washington, at Dallas?
Don't even let Dart bring a jersey to the game.
Bury him in the scout team.
Don't even let him bring a jersey to the game.
Let him hold a clipboard and bury him in the scout team.
Jackson, this is how bad it can get.
Yes, dude.
We'll let you know. All right?
Oh, God, Colin.
You know what's another interesting one?